Hello everybody and welcome to your Raijin mid lane guide. We're going to be grabbing ourselves a conduit gem right here, a tier 1 going into our pen, 2 healing potions, and a mana pot. And against this team, we're of course going to need our beads because they've got that wonderful little Aries. So Raijin right now has been bumping up a little bit in popularity. Not, I wouldn't call him like top of the line meta, but he's definitely viable as a mid laner. All of the actual meta items right now in mid, the Spear of Desolations, Rada Tahudis, all that kind of stuff, they all work well on the Raijin, so there's no reason why you cannot run him if you are a fan of the Bingo Bango Bongo Man himself. So we're going to be taking him right down into the mid lane. We are going to be grabbing our 1 first. You can, if you want to, with Raijin passive, stack it up a little bit in the base in order to utilize this minus 2-second cooldown. I'm going to be honest with you, it really doesn't make that much of a difference. It's not that big of a deal at the start of the game, but you can stack that if you get it up to 3 stacks, and then you use it right there, and then it reduces your cooldown. But you can see my 1 is already back up by the time I get to the lane, so it's not actually relevant. Our 1 is going to be our main lane clear ability, and it is going to be the ability that we max out first. At level 2, we are going to get our 3. This is our escape skill. Of course, wanting to make sure we get our escape skill, just like the Tiamat has done. So if we do get early ganked, or if a fight breaks out, we can get out of this. So Raijin is a pretty damage focused mage. He's got some CC in his kit, but CC is definitely not his priority. His priority is just going to be to do straight up damage through typically his 1-2 combo, which is actually going to be his 2-1 combo. It's going to be the reverse of that. They've got a Suki looking at us, so we need to be a little bit careful right here. Your Raijin 1 does go through walls, just like Tiamat 1 does, so we got to be a little bit careful right there. So feel free to use that ability through walls to grab the poke. In fact, all of your abilities on Raijin will go through walls. Whether you're trying to throw the 2 over on a target over a wall, or you're just trying to smash him with the 1, or your ulti through a wall, doesn't really matter. So right here, the Suki's taking pretty good damage, but my Kali is taking way more damage. I'm gonna stand in front of him just in case the Suki goes for that ranged auto, and he does. So I can actually save my Kali's life potentially right there. That would have been real close. Level 3, we're going to grab our 2, and now our lane clear, and our damage combo is going to be that much better. Now we've got our Raiju. This is our damage over time / slow. It's going to bounce around to some targets. And it's going to do this damage over time and this slow. It is quite nice. And it is the ability that we are going to max out third. So our level order on Raijin is going to be 4, 1, 2, 3. So leveling up that ulti whenever we can. Leveling up the 1 for the wave clear. And then finally leveling up that 3 last. Just our dash that we're going to use to get away. Just a fun little historical context here for you. Not relevant nowadays. But Raijin 3 used to actually be the ability that you ranked up first. Back on Raijin when he first came out. Because his 3 actually had the best damage in his kit out of all of his abilities. And it used to basically one-shot people. Just a fun little tidbit there for you. It got nerfed out the wazoo because, as it turns out, mage getaway skills probably shouldn't one-shot. You know, that's probably a little bit too strong of a mechanic. So we're going to be getting ourselves into our Shoes of the Magi, as we standardly do on our mages in mid, and then we're going to be getting ourselves into that Spear of Desolation. Against this team, doesn't look like I'm going to need any anti-heal. None of them really going to bring a ton of healing to the board, so we should be able to get away with that Spear of Desolation.
Your middle tower is under attack.
So on Raijin, you are going to want to get a good bit of CDR. Typically, you're going to want to get upwards of that 30-40%. So you can get the Sands of Time if you want to get that cooldown online earlier. The reason why you want cooldown on Raijin is because of his passive and how well it works with it. So same concept, think about Guan Yu, right? On Guan Yu, you buy a lot of cooldown because you've got built-in cooldown flat on your abilities, right? You heal with Guan Yu, minus 2 second cooldown on your abilities. You dash in Guan Yu, minus 2 second cooldown on your abilities. So the lower that you can get them to be baseline, the more effective that 2 seconds is going to be. Exact same concept with our Raijin. Every time we get this ability chain up, we are going to get minus 2 seconds off the abilities. So if they're already lower cooldowns to begin with, then we're going to get them up more often. Not to mention, because we need to spam our abilities in order to get the minus cooldown, lower cooldown means we spam our abilities more, means they come up more often. So it's kind of this self-propelling cycle that gets you lower CDR. So we're going to be making sure we get that Spear of Desolation for the CDR. Like I said, you can get that Sands of Time if you prefer to get your cooldown in that manner. There is nothing wrong with that.
Enemy missing. Your right tower is under attack.
For guys that we like paired with Raijin, Raijin's a bit of a bruiser, a bit of a brawler. So he just wants to be paired with somebody else that kind of just wants to get in there and fight. Somebody like an Erlang or a Thanatos. Somebody that just kind of wants to be fighting kind of all game long. That's kind of Raijin's stature. He just kind of wants to be fighting all the time, going in for some aggression. So the Kali pick with him doesn't really synergize super well. Kali more of an AFK farmer. You would probably want to pair that more with a more passive character in the mid lane. Maybe somebody like a Kukulkan who just kind of is sitting back, throwing down tornadoes and chilling. I prefer to have somebody a little bit more aggressive in the jungle with the Raijin because he can go pretty effectively for those earlier game fight. Now, I need to be a little careful about this Ares coming in, but I actually don't mind going for some damage on him. Gonna try to dash me over that wall, get out of those vines that just spawned. But I'm gonna call for the attack right here, and I'm gonna go right into my ultimate, and I'm gonna be using the 1 in my ulti in order to go through and kill this Ares right there. So the 1 on your drums on your ulti have 3 different things that they can do. Your drums can if you click 1 in your ulti, you're gonna do the mostly damage. If you click 2 in your ult, it's gonna do way less damage, but it is going to taunt the target towards you. And if you click your 3, it is gonna do less damage, and it is actually going to fear them away from you. So 1 is for the damage, 2 is for setting up for your team, and 3 is like, oh, I'm scared, I need to get these characters away from me. So a lot of CC for Raijin Kit comes in on his ulti, and you will be potentially using all 3. All 3 are viable. It's not like a couple of them are garbage and you're only ever using 1. It's going to highly depend on the situation that you are in. If you're winning the game, you're going to find yourself using the damage in the taunt probably the most often. And if you're losing the game, you're probably going to find yourself using the damage and the fear the most often. For guys that we don't like going against on Raijin, we don't like guys that have cripples. Our 3 is in fact affected by cripples. It's also a pretty slow ability. It is a dash that has 2 prongs on it, and those 2 prongs do take time. So I'm gonna use my ultimate right here. I'm gonna be spamming that 1 for the damage right there on the Tiamat, and I was also using the ulti for that CC immunity. From the Ares. Unfortunately, they have a very large Suki. Suki would be a great god to pair with Raijin. Suki is a brawler. He just wants to kind of be fighting over and over again. He wants to be, that is a great god just to pair with a Raijin, because Raijin doesn't really need setup. He can set up himself, right? He just has consistent damage that he's outputting all the time. And so you don't really need like a big Kumbhakarna setup or anything like that. It's not like your ulti is this one-time big damage like raw-like ability. Now, I will be able to go in pretty hard on this, and we'll be able to grab up a couple of those pick-up kills right there, so not too shabby. We're going to get a lot of farm actually off of that, saving that point at level 8 so I can grab a point in my ulti and my 1. For my third item on Raijin, I'm going to be grabbing myself a Soul Gem. Soul Gem is an item that doesn't quite get built as much as it used to, but on Raijin it is perfect because of our lower cooldowns with our passive. It is going to give us a little bit of CDR, and we get that bonus damage, right? We get that bonus damage every time we use those 4 abilities. Well, every time we use those 4 abilities on Raijin, we're also going to get that lowered CDR. So you can see how that synergy is going to work really well with each other. Lower CDR, fantastic, means more burst damage.
Another Patriot has fallen.
Got a fight breaking off to the right-hand side. I'm going to clear the wave first. Always make sure that you clear the wave first. I'm going to go ahead and auto-attack this Tiamat. Keeping my dash up right now to get away. I'm going to taunt them back towards me, and I'm actually going to fear them away right now. Then I'm going to dash in on this to secure that kill. Probably going to die here anyway, so I'm just going to turn around and get as much damage off as I could. So you can see right there, I actually got used out of all 3 of Raijin ultis in that exact same fight. We started off with the damage. Then I saw that my Sobek was about to pop his ultimate, so I wanted to make sure that the Tiamat was taunted so that she couldn't get away from the ulti. Then the Suki showed up, and I was afraid of the Suki coming in to kill me, so I used the fear in order to get the Suki farther away from us. So that was one fight where we actually got to see all 3 of those Raijin ults used at the same time. Gonna continue to work on my Soul Gem. Not really gonna be able to buy a lot of wards right now. We're gonna be down quite a bit of gold. So the wards are gonna have to go by the wayside. Honestly, the wards probably don't even matter that much right now. It's not like they're not just gonna dive me under the tower regardless. So the actual vision is probably tertiary right now to just positioning really far back as they are putting a lot of pressure on the mid lane. Now they might, honest to God, go do that Gold Fury. I'm gonna proc my 2 right here. I need to get over to this fight, but I also have to stop them from shoving through mid with the Tiamat minions. I'm actually gonna go quite aggressive right here for the Tiamat. That forces her to jump away. That is fine. She is way less threatening when she is in that stance. And now I can rotate over to this fight. Hopefully my dash will come up by the time that I need it. Gonna use my 2 on this Danza Burrow over the wall. Ares uses his ulti, so I'm gonna switch onto the Suki right now. I'm just gonna go for the straight damage, hoping that my combo here will be enough to get rid of him, and it will. Now I need to be careful with this Danza Burrow. Doesn't look like we're going to be able to grab another kill, but I do want to try to help out as much as I can. So I'm going to get a lot of damage on the Danza with that 1-2. Kukulkan unfortunately transforms, so now I've got to use a preemptive beads just to kind of get myself out of dodge. Make sure that root doesn't hit me, but overall, a pretty good fight for our team. One step closer to our Soul Gem, and now I can get an Aegis to help me live through some of this burst damage. And I've even got a little bit of spare gold to grab some wards on this back, which is fantastic. So right now, my goal in these fights is going to be to provide the sustained damage from as safe a location as I can. So I'll probably be rotating into these fights a little bit late. I'm going to be prioritizing my own farm a little bit more. So you can see how I'm staying for a wave, 2 waves after the Tiamat starts to rotate, which is allowing me to actually catch up in the XP department. And so now I actually have about a level lead on the Tiamat. And that is mostly just because I am staying for these waves before I am going for my rotation. Sobek really wants to go aggressive on this Tiamat. That is fine. I don't want to follow up with my full combo yet. I don't have my beads up, so I need to be careful about using my ultimate aggressively because that is my only form of CC immunity right now. I want to rotate over to the fight, but I am going to clear this wave first before I start to make my rotation over. Gonna throw down a ward up top right. Doesn't look like this fight is going particularly bad for my team, and I do think that this Tiamat is probably going to use her getaway skill, which should allow me to go ahead and catch up and grab that kill on him. So instead of rotating over to that fight, I decided it's probably safer for me to go ahead and kill the Tia. Unfortunately, the dual lane rotates all the way over to the mid lane. Howdy, Danzaburo. But it does give us enough gold to grab our soul gem and another sentry ward. Luckily, they haven't done any of their objectives yet. The lack of them doing the gold fury and stuff is allowing us to stay in it, but it looks like they are probably going to be going to that gold fury right about now. So at this point in the game, you kind of need to decide how you want to take your build. A Rod of Tahuti is going to be a great item right now. A lot of the times you're going to want to have that Rod of Tahuti within your first 4 items. Great gold secure from the team in order to get that. I personally am going to go into the Staff of Mirrodin right now, and then the Rod of Tahuti. Staff of Mirrodin, I do believe, is a criminally underrated mage item right now. Penetration check, cooldown check, lots of power check, and a potential extra ability check. That is just really, really strong. I'm trying to wait for them to get closer to me so I can use my abilities over this wall. So I'm going to be able to probably get the Cucullin over this wall. And then I'm going to dash right on over onto the Tia, pop my ulti, and then I'm going to use my taunt. One taunt. Forces him to use his beads, and I actually might be able to continue to go on this. I have my 2 on him still. Looks like my 2 is going to go all the way over towards the Suki, and we should be able to actually clean up pretty nice on this. Should be noted that on your leap on Raijin, we talked about how it takes a long time to go off. The reason why it takes a long time to go off is your leap is actually 2 distinct parts. So when you watch this leap right now, watch the 2 different parts. 1, 2. So there's an initial damage that goes off at the start, and then there's the second part, which is the actual teleportation. You've got the lightning and then the thunder damage. So when you're actually using the ability, you need to know that it takes a little bit of time to go off. So if you throw that 3 off to the side, you can see it takes just a moment for that channel to go off. And there is those 2 separate damage iterations from that ability. Also, for your Raiju, you don't have to proc this with an ability. So instead of like using your 2 and then your 1, in order to try and proc it, especially for people that have a hard time aiming the 1. Some people find Raijin 1 to be a really hard ability to hit. I find it to be a pretty normal ability to hit and smite, but some people really do have issues with it. If you're one of those people that has a really hard time utilizing Raijin 1, then one thing you want to try to do is you can throw out your 2 on a target, immediately go for the auto attack, right? Proc that Raiju. That's going to slow them. And then you can go ahead and use your 1 now that they're slowed. If you're confident aiming your 1, then you can just do the 2-1 and proc it that way. But having that slow on them before you even start your 1 might just be what you need in order to land those big 1s. Now there seems to be a party coming to the mid lane. So I'm going to play this a little bit farther back till we get some more people heading our way, and it looked like that. Look at just 4 people chilling in the mid lane. See if I can't help out my Sobek right here, sticking around, trying to get some poke. Looks like they are going to continue that dive onto Kali, so I'm going to try to get over to him. Gonna get some pretty nice damage. That's a beat Aegis onto the Suki. Just trying to use my 1 and spread that damage around with that Raiju as much as I can, but this is going to be a really not good fight for us. So I'm just going to keep going for that poke, though. Now, that's a pretty low Suki, so I'm actually going to taunt them right there, and they're all going to get taunted in that little corridor, which actually might have bought us just enough time to get out of here. without anybody else having to die. So right there, that's like a perfect opportunity for the Raijin. They all group up in that corridor. My team is pretty low, so I just go back and forth 1-2, 1-2. So damage taunt, and they sit in the entirety of the ulti, and it does help get them to back off. So now I've got 30% CDR, and with a red pot, I will be capped out at 40%.
An enemy has been slain.
The reason why I like the conduit gem on Raijin over the Sands of Time. You can get the Sands of Time. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. You can get Sands of Time or conduit gem on any mage right now. Even if one is more effective than the other, it's gonna be okay. If you've got a very specific play style, it's probably more important to embrace your specific play style than it necessarily is. Both of them are quite good right now. But the reason why I do like the Sands of Time more, excuse me, the conduit gem more than the Sands of Time, is because I'm gonna have 40% capped CDR already with this build. And with the conduit gem, I'm gonna upgrade it into the Gem of Focus, so that I'm always gonna have those Gem of Focus procs on me, which I like a lot. The constant CDR plus the -2 seconds on your passive means that you can always spam those abilities for the Gem of Focus. Also tends to help a little bit because you get some of those like percent mitigation to movement speed. Helps a little bit with the fact that Raijin tends to get dove quite frequently. So now we're moving into the mid stages of the game. We need to get some more vision out. They could be over on an objective. I really can't move any farther forward. Looked like they were actually on the Gold Fury. Without somebody else with me, I just gotta chillax. Wait for people to come to me. Looks like they are all heading over to the Fire Giant.
Defend the Fire Giant.
So I'm gonna call for the Defend Fire Giant, but I am not going to path aggressively.
Your right tower.
I am going to path pretty defensively.
Your right tower.
Go push out this right lane while we're waiting. Keep my experience even with that Tiamat. And at this point, we're basically saving up our gold so that we can have the 1500 for that Gem of Focus when the time comes. Now, right now, what we need to start doing is looking for a pickoff. Doesn't really matter who the pickoff target is. We just need to find a pickoff. They've got a Suki over in left lane, which means we should be going to take this fight right here, right now. I'm going to dash right in onto this Raijin. Raijin's actually going to take so much damage. That's beads, that's Aegis, that's dash. So we should be able to finish up that kill. I don't want to steal anything from my collie, but she's not going to be able to get in range. So now my next target is going to be this Danza. Hopefully I get the combination onto the Danza. Not going to be able to quite get that. Great little tier play right there. I'm going to use my ultimate. Unfortunately, looks like everybody is going to be backing out pretty hard. And so I'm going to call for the Fire Giant. Good little backup right there from their team. I'm going to try to throw down that 2 onto the Fire Giant just to utilize that Mirrodin proc so we can get a little bit of extra damage onto the fire. Suki is going to be coming right on around. Now, none of our tanks are actually back here tanking this. Raijin does not have the best objective secure. One of Raijin's probably weakest parts of his game is his objective secure. His objective, funny enough, Raijin's objective steal is probably better.
Enemies incoming. Enemies incoming.
His objective steal is probably better than his objective secure because he can utilize when trying to steal the taunt and the fear on his ulti and then try to steal it with it. But as far as securing the objective, basically all you have is your 2-1 combo, which is really more of a damage over time thing. So that's one of your weakest things you have to keep in mind. If they've got anybody with good secure, this actually enemy team does not particularly have good secure themselves. Tiamat also not known for her objective secure. But if you're going against somebody like a Cuckoo, a Ra, a Poseidon, an Isa, whatever, make sure that you're killing them before you go do an objective. Don't rely on your Raijin in order to secure the objective for you, because realistically, you're not going to get it. So at this point, we need to shove up the left and middle lane. We want to shove up the left lane because it's the farthest lane away from fire. But we also want to shove up the mid lane because the mid lane has a tier 1 tower still in it. But I need to be a little bit careful because we are split up. So I'm going to call for the attack middle lane. Be careful left lane. They've got a Suki coming around the back. Let's go help left lane. So now I'm going to start running over here. Suki has actually put himself in a bit of a harder position. Maybe he gets himself killed right here. And they are diving for this fight hard. Danza Rocket is down. Unfortunately, everybody is just outside of all of our damage ranges. Gonna see if I can't get enough damage off with this little Raijin. I'm just gonna start running through the wall. Hit Danza a couple of times. I know that Suki is around here somewhere. Gonna pop my beads. Hopefully that's gonna be enough to kill him. Wow, he heals for a lot. So I gotta dash away from this one. Those Soul Eater heals are coming in thick right now for him. Ares is kind of just W king at me. That's all right. He's got the cripple on me. Not much I can do about it. Oh no, Ares ultimate is still up after that entire fight. That is no bueno. Luckily some soul gem procs and a good shell is gonna keep us alive. If I was the Ares, I would probably just keep W king at me. No reason to stop doing that at this point. Great combo for tier through the wall. Hopefully my dash is gonna be able to get the kill. Wow, it's actually not enough to get the kill. That is so unfortunate. And the Suki will just not die. Wow. We do eventually get the kill at the very end there, but that was actually kind of crazy. But we are going to get very, very close to our Rod of Tahuti right here. So that was basically just a combination of a Boomba's hammer and Soul Eater keeping him alive. But that actually brings up another good point. So this team that we're going against, we talked about at the very beginning of the game. We said, okay, they don't have any healers, so we don't necessarily need anti-healing. But the team has actually embraced a decent bit of healing from their itemization. We've got the Boomba's hammer and the Soul Eater, which you saw how problematic made the Suki. Danza Burrow has Lifesteal, plus he has a heal on his 2. Cucullin has a Stone of Gaia, giving him a lot of passive HP regeneration. They've got Sovereignties, giving out HP 5s. Divine Ruin, anti-heal in general, is going to work against all of that stuff. So even if you don't necessarily need it for like a straight healer, like an Aphrodite or something, anti-heal is always just a good stat to have in your team.
Be careful.
And so I will actually be getting, if I get a 6th item this game, I will go ahead and sell my boots and grab that Divine Ruin for a combination of a little bit more flat pen, but also for some of that anti-healing measures against some of these guys that we're going against. Putting out a defensive sentry, just so I know that I am safe back here. My B drop in 3 seconds. Great grab right there from tier onto the Tiamat. That should basically allow us to grab that kill. Danza Burrow looks like he's going to be ulting into this fight. I'm dashing because I thought he was actually coming for me. I think he actually might have been and hit the wrong target. Now I'm going to try to sneak around the back on this one. Hit him with a little bit of a wombo combo. And I'm just going to continue to go for that 2-1 combo, 2-1 combo, 2-1 combo. As long as you're hitting the 2 and the 1, you're doing a lot of damage. Now I'm going to put a little taunt right there onto the Danza. He's going to have to go ahead and use his beads. Ares gets brought right over to his team. Unfortunately, that Raiju still does not quite hit. But we should be able to grab a Ares kill right here. Wow, they've got a lot of shells on their team as well. The plot thickens. Danza Burrow still needs to be my target, so I'm going to dash over at him. We got Suki close to us. I'm just going to start running away. I've still got my actives up, so I should be able to probably just get away from the Suki. I'm a little bit concerned that my Sobek is in trouble, so I'm just trying to stick around for him. but there's no way that a Suki Kukulkan can do the fire giant by themselves. Ooh, that's actually Suki ult down. That might actually allow me to come back in, grab another kill. I'm gonna pop my ulti right here, do a little fear just to get them a step away from me. That is his Aegis down. He still has all of his actives and ultis up, unfortunately, but I do believe that that should be enough to grab the kill. And you can see that my Soul Gem heal procs are helping out a lot. Plus, I've got all of this bonus CDR. See, we can't force Tiamat to use her dash. She does. We actually might be able to grab that kill as well right here. Hopefully the Kali can pick it up now that she's all on her lonesome. And this should end up being, I was gonna say it should end up being a good fight, but it looks like our Kali doesn't actually get her ulti off before she gets in that fight. So a little bit separate from the Raijin, but we talked about it in our Kali guide. You need to make sure on Kali that you're getting that ulti off. You are better off on Kali using your ultimate too early than you are using it too late. If you use it too late, you're simply dead. If you use it too early, maybe you don't get the full maximum utilization, right? Maybe you don't get a full 5 seconds of bonus life. But maybe you get a bonus 3 seconds of life, which allows you to grab another kill, which allows you to proc your passive and get a full heal. So many reasons why you should use that Kali ult just a little bit earlier instead of a little bit later. Now I got to get myself over toward the fire giant, but I also got to get rid of all these minions in the mid lane before I get over there. Gonna dash myself right on over. Good zoning right now from our tier, getting fantastic damage off onto these guys. Suki ults me through the wall, so I'm gonna go ahead and pop some taunts on these guys and a couple of fears. See if I can't get my dash out over this wall. I also have a Mirrodin up, so I can dash again. Unfortunately, I am like really getting chased by the Suki right there, but that staff of Mirrodin just kept me alive because we got to use the double dash. So I got to ulti, utilize it for the fears and for the taunt for my team, and then I immediately got to use a dash away and a second dash away. I would love to grab a red buff before our next engagement, if at all possible. I actually think Danzaburo might have gone over to the Gold Fury. He did. See if we can't find somebody right here being a little bit aggressive like this Tiamat. If we can get a little pick on this Tia, that would be huge. I'm gonna dive right on Endless. Aggressively using my one. Now I'm gonna taunt because I see that she has used Aegis. Looks like Ares might have actually just screwed up his ult pretty hard right there. And so we should be able to grab at least one more kill off this, if not two. Kukulkan's got my proc on him, so he's got to be pretty careful. Unfortunately, my bleed right there went onto that Danzaburo. And it is now the enhanced fire giant. So we've got all 5 of us up. We've got 2 of them dead. I'm going to call for the team to come back to the fire giant. And we should be able to do this. Now I'm going to get out a deep ward over here. So we've got very good vision around the fire. Our Cupid really shouldn't be the one tanking this. Our Sobek is all the way over in left lane. It would really be nice to have him around the fire giant. I'm just going to use my 3 for the burst damage right here. I saw that ward come across from the backside of the fire. I don't want to mess around. I would rather die there by using my dash than have the enhanced fire giant stolen. The enhanced fire giant is really, really important.
Attack right lane.
I'm gonna call for that attack right lane. Gonna grab myself an elixir of speed, sell my boots, and get myself just right up to that divine ruin. Actually, we grab that little bit of bonus cash, and now I'm gonna be able to get that divine ruin until some of this healing won't be nearly as problematic. So whereas normally we would go shove that left lane and that right lane, because they're farther away from the fire giant. This time we're actually going to end up shoving the right lane because they've got the tier 2 tower over there. I'm going to grab my enhanced red buff before, and then we all need to head over to the right lane. All right, let's go. All head on over to that right lane. We've got the enhanced fire. We've got the red. I can keep those gem of focus procs up. I got to deal with some of these Tiamat minions in mid. It's a bit of a risky dash, honestly. There was probably no reason to actually make that dash happen.
Enemy spotted.
Probably should have just walked manually. We didn't have any vision on that area, and so that was a unnecessary risk that I took just to save 2 seconds to get to a lane that it didn't really matter that I got through that fast.
Your team has destroyed a right enemy tower.
We've got the creeps here. Ares is probably just gonna blink ulti on all 5 of us. Not much we can do to stop that. But I am gonna try to help out my Cupid because my Cupid is just getting deleted off of the planet right now. Suki way into the back line. He's gonna use his ultimate, so I'm actually gonna chase that down pretty hard. We need to make sure we get this Suki kill. If we don't get that Suki kill, we could be in a lot of trouble this fight. Now we're gonna be in a lot of trouble. So I'm just gonna start fearing people away from me, buying me a little bit more time. Gonna get a little aggressive dash there just to proc the Raijin, and on that fight, great grab from the tier right there is gonna help turn this fight around pretty hard. Killing the Tiamat, so I'm gonna run back in at this Phoenix. I'm gonna proc my Raijin onto the Kukulkan, wait from the dash. Now I'm actually gonna chase in after that because I can slow him down pretty good and just keep him off of us. We still got enhanced fire giant for 1 minute. So at this point, we need to be looking for a fight. That is half of Suki's health. I'm going to be dashing in on that. Pop my Aegis and my beads right here. And if we can kill that Suki, we are in a not bad spot at all. There we go. I'm going to ulti right here for this Kukulkan. Going to try to taunt him towards me. Follow up with a little 3. Gonna be able to grab that kill as well. At this point, we probably just need to get out. Well, 13 seconds on the Tia in the Ares. Danza's by himself for 10 seconds. We can actually go for this a little bit. I don't know if we're gonna be able to get it, but with the enhanced fire, it might actually be enough just by itself. I'm gonna call for him to attack middle lane. I really need him to actually attack this, and we're gonna get it. All right, we do get it. I'm probably gonna die here. Honestly, if we would have just been, so this is actually probably not worth it at this point. So what we should have done right there with the tier is we just needed him to auto attack it. With the enhanced fire giant, you do a ton of damage to Phoenixes. He was trying to zone out the Danza, which normally would be a very good play. But with them all respawning, it means that they're now going to re-shove down middle lane because they now have 2 of us at a 40-second death timer. And what we could have done is simply attack that mid Phoenix with our enhanced fires and gotten the Phoenix without dying. Now, luckily for us, they had a couple of staggered death timers, and so we should be able to respawn before they get over to the next enhanced fire, because that is the most important thing. So we need to be careful until this enhanced fire comes back up. Gonna buy myself a potion of power here. I'm just a couple of hundred of gold off of the 3k pot, so I'm not gonna wait around for that 3k potion. If you can, the 3k pot is really strong right now. You don't get it very often, but reminder that these do not disappear on death, and they give you that 25% bonus. So always grab that 3k pot if you are able to at the end of the game. Sometimes it's actually even advisable to get the 3k pot instead of the 6th item. That's a little bit neither here nor there. So now they're not going to be able to contest probably. If they are, it's going to be too late. Kukulkan has come in on this fight. Now we should go fight this right now. We've got the enhanced fire. We've got them out of position. I'm going to be going really aggressive, trying to see if I can't force them in on me. There it is. I'm gonna cancel out of my ulti. And I'm going to use my Aegis to live through the Suki ult. Now we have baited out the Suki ult. We can probably just go right through right lane, bring up some of these creeps, and go for the end. So with the enhanced fire, you can make some of those more aggressive plays. So I literally just dashed in aggressively. I know that he's gonna come in and fight me, and I can cancel out of my ultimate by right clicking. So I just cancel right on out. I'm gonna pop my beads right here for the Ares. Is actually a really good play from the Ares. He knows he has to go very aggressive here to try to keep us out of this fight. Kukulkan in the backline is providing a little bit of problems for us. Tiamat gonna take so much damage. And now I'm just gonna call for the Titan attack. As long as we just focus on the Titan right here, we should be able to end the game. Now, Danzaburo is going hard on me, so I actually have to reset back off this. I'm gonna start fearing people away from me because I'm a little bit scared of dying right now. Great grab from the tier. Gonna use my dash right on the Tiamat to proc my Raijin, and now we're gonna be able to actually put this game away. Suki is spawning in 10 seconds, so we don't want to mess around with the Kukulkan too much. We'd rather just go ahead, focus on this Titan, because if Suki comes up and gets a big ulti off, there is a chance to turn that one around, guys. So that is our finished build. You can see how Raijin doesn't do that like 100 to 0 big burst all at the same time, but he's constantly a force on the battlefield. Damage. Because he has those low cooldowns, you just consistently are proccing this AoE damage over and over and over and over and over again, allowing you to get a lot of effect onto the battlefield and allowing you to get some big, beefy damage numbers because of that constant damage output, guys. And that is our Raijin mid lane guy. Thank you for supporting the Twitchiest community. If you'd like to see more videos, make sure you subscribe to the channel and always hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of the upcoming videos. Thank you for all your support and have a Twitchin' day, y'all.